Welcome to the next video. As I'm sure that you are stepping into the busiest season of the year, I wanted to share with you this video all about significance, but I also want to tap into a little bit about how we handle the chaos, how we handle being able to really empower our team members to step forward and to take action, to be able to adjust, to be able to handle anything that comes their way in a time where we're so busy. So how do we not only lead a team in a positive way and influence them to achieve their goals at the same time as handling everything when things get so hectic and chaotic at this time of year? I want to share with you two different key tips that I help to support leaders in being able to step into not only focusing on what needs to happen at this time of year, but also help to inspire and not forget that connection with our team members. So before we dive into how to inspire and lead someone who is driven by significance, let's talk about how to deal with the chaos. Because without dealing with everything that's going on in our heads and being able to handle everything that's happening at the time, then leading someone is probably the second thing on your mind. So how do we deal with that chaos? The first step is to get everything out of your head. You cannot make sense of and logically decide and prioritize exactly what needs to happen if it's all still up here. So take a moment to really just get everything out, brain dump everything out of your head onto paper and really look at what is your priority. How can you prioritize what's most important, and how can you prioritize your team? In this time, it's very hectic with customers coming in all the time, with all the new promotions, with all the things that need to happen, and you're so constantly hectic that it's really important that you prioritize and have an intention around leading your team with ease and positivity. Because the biggest thing that happens at this time of year is that we can be so focused on the targets and so focused on what has to happen and so focused on and getting caught up in the drama of being constantly busy is that we forget about our team members. And I don't say that in a negative way. It's just hard when we're so focused on everything that has to happen that how do we then also inspire a team member that should just be doing what needs to happen, right? So the first thing is get it all out of your head. Get it all out of your head onto paper. Work out exactly what needs to happen, prioritize it, give yourself the space to be able to create that plan. Then what I like to do is take all the non-essential things, so all of those little admin pieces, all little bits and pieces that have to be done that are just part of your everyday day. How can you jam pack them into 1 hour and give yourself the space to, I call it like the hour of power. How can you give yourself the space to be able to smash out those key things in that quick hour where you're absolutely not distracted? So it's where you set aside that time, you turn off your phone or put it onto silent, you take away any other form of distraction and just get those key tasks that need to happen done. Once that is done, it makes you feel so much more lighter that you're able to focus on everything else throughout the day rather than just trying to fit all those bits and pieces in as you go. Then you want to think about what are the key things that I need to focus on. Then you want to prioritize that, schedule that into your diary so then you can prioritize those to be done at the most opportune times. Now, work out what's best suited for you. So if you're more focused on getting those things done first thing in the morning, so then they're out of the way and then you can focus then on your day, then do that. If you're more someone who likes to get everything else done first and then dive into that type of work in the afternoon, just work out what is your sweet spot because everybody works a little bit differently. So find your sweet spot, schedule it into your diary and make it a priority. So what that means is being able to allow yourself the space to be able to do that. Make sure it is a priority so the people around you know that it's also a priority. So that could mean setting up a team member to let them know that they need to handle the desk at that time, or setting up a team member to know that you're not going to be in the store for that period of time. Whatever it is that you need to make that happen, create that priority, create that schedule. Then we want to look at what intention do you have with your team members? Because we need to make sure that we're creating an intention around that. Otherwise, we can get so stuck in being busy that we forget that our team members are the most important. When our team feel inspired, they're on fire, they're happy, they're excited, and they're a part of the team and they're really engaged in what needs to happen, then everything else will flow so much more easily. And that way you have less issues that you need to adapt to, less issues that need to be handled in that situation. So that is why it's so important that you prioritize your team and have that key intention of how you would like to prioritize them. In this time of year, now sometimes, not always, but sometimes our team members can get so caught up in the busy, in the hecticness that is Christmas, that they can actually take on that busy persona. And what's really important is that they lead by example. So what I mean by that is that they can actually see how stressful it is for you. So if you're coming in as a leader, what's really important I like to do is actually set an intention before you walk in the door. So just take a moment to center yourself and just be like, okay, how do I want to behave here? Who do I want to be? How am I showing up here? Because then before you step into store, that your team members are going to feel your energy. They're going to see how stressed you are, they're going to see how hectic things are, they're going to see how short you are, they're going to see how quickly you respond to messages or questions. And if we're not careful, that hectic, busy feeling and that stressful feeling can actually be completely transferred to our team member. And then before we know it, they've taken on our persona, and then they're feeling stressed, hectic, out of control, and then that then is relayed onto our customers. So it's really important as the leader that we show up exactly how we want them to show up. So if we're so focused on the activities that need to happen, we're so focused on the outcomes that need to be achieved, sometimes our team members can feel irrelevant, they can feel overlooked and overworked. Now, in this time of year, it is so important that we lean into significance, because when a team member is feeling overlooked and irrelevant, that leads them to feeling undervalued and unappreciated. Then that leads them to feel like they're exhausted and they don't want to work there anymore. So really important that we're just mindful of how we are showing up in the workplace, and then how we can then feed into their significance, so then they feel valued and important and they feel like they want to be a part of it. So let's dive into significance. Your team members who are driven by significance are your action takers, your go-getters, the ones that are driven and focused, the ones that want to hit the targets, the ones that are very outcome focused. They just want to know what has to happen, and they then will take action towards making that happen. They're usually quite confident. They are usually solutions focused. They're quite positive, quite self-confident, have a really strong sense of self, and they are really goals driven. So giving them a goal and giving them a responsibility to make that happen is a really great way to influence and inspire someone who's driven by significance. They want to feel valued and important, and they want to feel a part of the vision and the purpose of what's being created. So allowing them to be a part of all of that is a beautiful way to keep them inspired and working towards achieving the targets that you have in mind. Someone who's driven by significance likes to make the decisions for themselves. So you may want to give them a couple of options. And now you may want to give them the option of, would you like to do this first, or that first? What you get to choose, but as long as all three get done. And it's really important that you allow them that independence. They want to feel like they have a little bit of self-responsibility. So giving them that opportunity is a really great way to keep them inspired and focused. So going into this hectic, busy time, they're usually the team members that are quite adaptable, they quite like change, and they're quite up for the game, right? Up for the competition to be able to strive and achieve great things. Now, the other key things you want to be aware of with someone who's driven by significance, sometimes they can come across as a little bit abrupt. They're so focused on achieving something, they're so focused on getting things done, that sometimes they can forget the niceties. So sometimes in this busy, hectic time, you may need to remind them that we need to make sure that we're kind to the customers. I know that sounds a little bit silly to say, but sometimes that they can forget the niceties because they're just trying to get something finished. You're just trying to get something completed. They will make fast decisions and quick decisions, and giving them extra responsibility is a beautiful way to keep them inspired and taking action towards the goals that you have in mind. So how do we influence and inspire someone who's driven by significance? The first key component is respect. We want to give them their utmost respect right from the get-go, and they will then also strive to achieve that respect from you as well. We want to make sure that we challenge them, give them the opportunity to be competitive, give them the opportunity to achieve something great. So giving them the opportunity to win in any opportunity, they're going to want to go for that. We want to encourage them and listen to them. We want to ask for their opinion. They feel valued and important when you ask for their opinion. And then we want to inspire them with responsibility. So it might be giving them the opportunity to have more responsibility the more they achieve the targets that you have in mind. We also want to make sure that we're recognizing them for their hard work and acknowledging the effort that they're putting in. Now, this can be done in such a short snapshot of time that it doesn't have to be, especially in this time when we're so busy and so hectic, we don't have the time to take a team member aside and support them in a conversation that leads them to the next stages, right? We've really got 5 minutes, probably not even that, probably 2 minutes. So how can we do that? And how can we inspire someone and influence them in a positive way in such a snapshot of time? You only need to take 2 minutes to acknowledge someone, to reward them for the behavior and the effort that they've put in. And that acknowledgement can go so far, especially with someone who's driven by significance, but it can work for any team member. So it could look like this. I want to acknowledge you for staying calm under pressure. I know it's hectic at the moment, but your strength and your ability to stay calm under pressure is such a beautiful quality that I admire in you, and I know it's going to support you in getting through this busy season. Right? It's beautiful, right? In the way that you can really see them for who they are and the quality they have within them. It helps them to really acknowledge that within themselves, and then they want to aspire to that in the future. So let's try another one. I want to acknowledge you for always putting the customer first. I can see how challenging it can be in this time of year, and your ability to always have the customer's best interest at heart is such a beautiful quality to admire. And I just want you to know that I see it, and I want you to know that if you continue to do that throughout the busy season, I know that we're going to have such great feedback from our customers. Beautiful, right? So think about some key things that you want to acknowledge your team members in, and you may want to do this before you walk into store. Think about your team members, what are their strengths, and then start to acknowledge them for their behavior and the quality that you see within them and how that's going to support them in the future. So there's the two components. Think about the quality you want to acknowledge them for. So I want to acknowledge you for staying calm under pressure. I want to acknowledge you for overcoming challenges. I want to acknowledge you for always putting the customer first. I want to acknowledge you for being able to adapt under change in the way that we're constantly doing new things every single day. But your ability to do that is such a strength, right? Acknowledge the quality and then always future focus it. So you want to then say, and I know this is going to support you throughout this whole busy season, and we're going to get such beautiful feedback, or I know that's going to help support you in being able to get through this busy season in such a positive way, right? Beautiful way to acknowledge someone, and it really helps them feel like they've been seen and heard in such a beautiful way that they feel it deep down in their soul. So I want to acknowledge you for showing up and watching this video and knowing that you being able to improve your leadership skills is only going to make you such a better leader in the future. And I want to acknowledge you for taking the time to do that. Feels nice, right? So take the time to acknowledge your team members throughout this busy season, and I wish you a beautiful, beautiful Christmas and Happy New Year.